Most Western colonized men are dickless, neutered, and ineffectual. Even though they might drive a big Ford Ranger, have a bunch of guns, they're entirely dickless. I'm going to give you a personal story of mine about what it was like to encounter the ineffectual protection of Western men. I lived in the United States of America in New York for 2008. I got a scholarship to go to film school, and I waitressed every night, 5 nights a week, to pay my rent and things. And obviously all my European school friends and American school friends were like, come on for a cocktail. I was like, $26 per cocktail. I'll pass. I got work tonight and I'm probably going to be using that to pay my rent, but thanks. So I'm working late every night. It was the same year, 2008, Obama became president, and the restaurant I worked at was up near Times Square, near 51st Street. And I remember the chanting, yes, we can, yes, we can. And I was like, Americans think because they've elected a black president that somehow that makes them progressive and not racist. Meantime, this body of a black man continued to just fuck the rest of the world with colonization, imperialism, and wars. But yeah, thanks for tricking us with the skin of a black man. Anyway, so it was that year, it was New Year 2008. I finished my shift really late. Got on the subway, was coming down on the A line all the way down to the L train and taking the L across to Brooklyn. And as I got on the A up near 51st, it was late at night, but there were a few people on the train. Like down there in the corner, there were a couple guys, you know, when the carriage is kind of empty, but there's little like 2 people there, a couple guys over there. And as I walked on the train, I noticed and felt these 2 young women sitting over here to my right. They were younger and much shorter. I'm a big person, I'm 6 feet. And there was a man holding on the rail, leaning over them, saying shit to them, like just bullying them. So I went and sat near to these women. And this guy's carrying on, oh, your pussy smells like garbage, you sluts, you fucking whores. He's just talking at these women, right? He's obviously out of his mind, but he's verbally abusing them, and they're like huddling together. And I look around and I'm like, there's actually guys on this cart. They were sparse and scattered around, but there were about 5 men. And so I sit a bit closer to these women, and I'm looking at this guy who's like standing over them saying all this shit. And he turns his attention to me. And he's like, oh, looks like we got a new pussy. Your pussy smells like garbage, you bitch, you this, you that. He's just saying all the smut at me. And he's like, you know what you need to see? You need to see my ass. So I'm sitting down and he's standing up in front of me. And the 2 girls, I look over at them and they're like apologetically look at me because they know that I've taken his energy for them. And they're like, I'm so sorry. But I was like, okay. So he turns around and I'm looking around the cart like, is this actually going to happen? He turns around, puts his ass in my face and pulls his pants down, and I can see the hairs on his ass, the sweat marks, everything. His ass is in my face. I'm looking at his fucking ass this close. It's this close. I'm like, and I look around the cart while there's an ass in my face, and I'm just like, there's dudes all in this cart, and they're just like looking down and kind of side watching my situation. I'm like, these are your men. These are your men. That would never happen in South Africa or the Middle East. You do that to a woman in my nation or the Middle East, you would get fucked up solid. It wouldn't have even got that far. But these neutered men were sitting on the subway, first of all watching these 2 timid girls getting verbally abused, then watching me getting verbally abused, and then physically having an ass put in my face. I was like, this is not happening. Next thing, the guy, he's like, he turns around, he's like, you like that, bitch? You like that? You know what you need to see now? You need to see my dick. And I was like, oh shit, this is not gonna happen. Oh my God. Looking around, all the men on the subway are just like fucking, where are your dicks? What are you even? This guy turns around, puts his crotch right here in my face, digs into his pants, digs in, And as he's pulling it out, right here, as he's pulling his penis out, no man is standing up for me on this cart. No one. I'm about to have a dick put in my face publicly, and not one man is standing up for me. Well, obviously, I'm Kalima, so I'm an Arab. You don't fuck with an Arab. And as he was about to pull it out, everything came up inside me, and I just stood up, and I was like, I will fucking break you! I just went off at this guy, and I walked him backwards until he sat on the bench opposite me. I walked him and disciplined him and shouted at him until he sat down. And I was all riled with the adrenaline, like shaking, and I look around, and the two young girls are like, yeah, and everybody else in the cart is like, oh my God, yeah. I'm like, the fuck? Like pumped on my adrenaline. Meantime, these dudes didn't even protect me. Then I go back and I sit down, and I'm looking at this guy opposite me now, and now he's all like all disciplined, because bullies are actually broken inside. Bullies are actually the weak archetype in the room. They seem really big, but when you discipline them, they become like small children, and you see the moment of their own wounding. You see the depth of their own wounding, that he's actually completely weak. So he was sitting opposite me now, well, your pussy still smells like garbage. That's what he whispered under his voice. I was like, excuse me? What? I didn't hear you. And he was like, nothing. And he got all weak and like, that's where he went to after I took my power back and I matched him and I said no. He became a small little boy, and you could see that he was probably deeply harassed as a child. But the point is that not one man stood up on that cart for me, or the two women beside me. Not one man. I was like, I'm happy for my education that I got in the States, but as soon as I could, I got the fuck out of there. I was like, there's no way I'm living in this hyper-individualistic culture where nobody takes care of each other. There's no communal energy. It was just like absolutely despicable to me. That would have never happened in South Africa. That would never happen in my country. Never. Because our men actually have dicks.